Okay, we'll call the special Lisle Township board meeting to order, and we'll do a roll call.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Here.
Trustee Robinson?
Here.
Trustee McGovern? Why am I looking there? It's like she's not here. Here. Yeah. Assessor Trowbridge, Commissioner Young.
Here. Thank you.
I kept thinking same, like I was writing the same.
And then we already did our pledge of allegiance. Can we, or do we,
you don't have to,
okay.
If you want, if the board would like, we could.
Would we like to do another pledge, or?
I'm okay.
Okay, we've been pledged. Okay, then, and then public comment. There wasn't any new one. I just closed it though. Is there any public comment for this one in person? Jerry or John? Nope.
No.
Okay, great. And then, and there isn't a new one here as well. Is there a public comment online? Lisa Rose?
No.
Okay, great. Then moving on to the next piece is discussion and actions on ordinance number 2023-006 amended 2023-2024 budget and ordinance for Lisle Township.
I'm actually going to make a motion to move the line item 10, budget item 10.
Sure.
To have you present
10.
Okay, first before we get to discussion on everything else.
That's fine. And then
Second.
Thank you, Trustee.
Thank you.
Paige and Trustee Robinson. And then all in favor?
Aye.
And then we're moved to line item 10, which is discussion and possible action on amending the W2s, W3s, Social Security and employment.
This is Janice Pappas. We met her through Assessor Trowbridge, and she discussed the problem with the underreporting of income for the past few years, and she discussed it in an intelligent way that I could understand, Assessor Trowbridge could understand, and had the steps outlined of what you have to do and how you cure the problem. Oh, and it's very unique in the way she presents it, because it really doesn't affect the employees. So with that, I'll let her turn it over to what work she will do.
All right, so I'm a CPA. I've been a CPA since 1984. I've been in public accounting, and I worked in business and whatever. And so I've been in public accounting since 2009. I'm a QuickBooks Pro advisor since 2009, and I have advanced certification since 2019. By the way, very few people have that. And I'm a CPA, so it's a very small amount of people that have those credentials. I specialize in small business accounting, payroll and tax, and I was a partner in Monarch Accounting Group. Sold the firm, but I still, consult with them right now. Anyway, I understand that you have a problem, and it's gone on since 2014. And usually John is my tax client, and he came to me, and I was in his W-2, and he said, "How much money do you make? This doesn't look right." And he said he'd go back and check. And so then I think that's how it kind of came up. And it's really kind of an easy fix. You have to have, somebody who understands payroll to fix it. I passed around this morning the form, that's the W-2 correction, and it's 5 parts. There's a lot of forms to it. And that's basically what you have to do for each individual that needs a correction for each year. I'm proposing a 3-part process. The first part is I want to look at the QuickBooks file and see what else is there. We reconcile everything and make sure it's right. So I don't want to fix something and it's not completely right. So I want to look at the QuickBooks file, make sure it's completely right, reconcile paychecks, all the reports, the W-2s, they all have to match. So that process has to happen. After that, I'm going to call it the stop the bleeding phase. We fix the QuickBooks so we can actually file a correct 3rd quarter 941. and get the amended, the corrected W-2s to the employees before the extension deadline. So those are like the stop the bleeding phase. So let's at least fix what's wrong right now, so we don't make any more mistakes, because it's been, you have the obligation as an employer, as soon as it's, you know about it, to fix it. Otherwise, now you've become, you know, negligent. So it needs to be fixed. If you call the IRS, when people have said, oh, let's just call the IRS and talk to them, there's nobody there to talk to. They would say, fix the forms, amend the report. So that's what you do. You file a W-2C corrected, and you file a 941X that corrects it. And then it's just, you file them incorrect. They don't have a mechanism for anything before 2020. You can only file fixed 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2020 current year. Okay.
So we've been variously told that Social Security didn't have a date that it could that you had to not amend. So is that
so if you go online, they don't have the forms, they don't have the ability to accept a corrected form.
oh, so there's no way to amend,
you know, I mean, I don't know that what the special treatment would be for that, but I think you should fix the open years in a hurry and fix 2022 immediately, and then get to you know, the prior years.
Yeah, thank you.
And then okay, so now you're done. If there's some other problems from prior years, you know, before that, there's these forms you can't file before that. And this form, if you look at it, it's five-part. It goes to the employee, the employer gets a copy, Social Security gets it, IRS gets it, and Illinois. So all those, so there's a form here for all of them. Now, if you do it by hand, I have a program that allows you, and I sent a picture of it. Looks like this. This is the software I would use. It's page 1, page 2 of it. And you put, you know, the information in, and you can see you can't go 100 before 20. Doesn't have the ability to do that, and they don't accept it. There might be another way, I don't know. We'd have to do some other research or whatever. But right now, IRS, so it's only going to take 2020.
So then you're proposing that the way we fix this is just by individually helping each of the employees that had this happen amend their returns, and that would be the fix, or what else?
Okay, so it's a clear directions, and so I kind of also sent the directions on the website. That's what you do. You go through this process, which is fixing the W-2, W-2C, and then you have a whole group of them, and then there's a summary sheet. It's called a W-3C, and you just send that. Now it's fixed, and then it's, you know, the 5-part form, and then it goes to all the different agencies, and then everybody knows what it's supposed to be. That's how it works. It's definitely how it works. It's my job, I know.
But I think you're jumping ahead. She hasn't described. You're going to write a check along with your forms.
Oh yeah. So it's the employer's obligation to pay the employee, withhold, and for Medicare, Social Security, and federal and state income tax, and then you send it every quarter or every week or whatever your situation is, and to all the agencies, unemployment, you know, IRS, whatever. And if you don't do that, you're negligent, right? So now, as soon as you figure it out, then you have to correct it and send it in. Otherwise, you're more negligent, and you don't want to be in that category. So, you know, errors happen. They understand that. That's why they have the W-2Cs and the W-3Cs and 941Xs. But we have to fix them, and they have to be fixed correctly. And there has to be, in my mind, you have to look at the whole thing and make sure it's reconciled, so we're not fixing the wrong thing, you know, whatever. So I would have to look at the QuickBooks and do some reconciliations.
So we have an accountant who's looked at this, and I think there's been alignment on some of what the numbers are. We had a tax attorney look at it as well, and she provided guidance back at the end of June to the supervisor. I happened to get a copy of it. I just want to read something that's in here. So it says the affected employees should file amended tax returns for the open tax years pursuant to which additional federal, state, and local income tax will be due. The IRS will impose a late payment penalty and interest on the amount of additional tax. However, the affected employees may elect to use one of the IRS options available to seek a waiver of the penalties. Finally, the affected employees may incur additional costs to cover their cost of assistance in filing amended tax returns. The township may decide to reimburse the employee for part or all of their costs. If the township makes reimbursements, those reimbursements would be considered wages and should be run through payroll to ensure the appropriate withholding and reporting for the calendar year in which they are made for the affected employee. So,
okay, so I'm glad you brought that up.
please.
So a tax accountant, that's like 1040, those are different forms. That's not a payroll expert. And we have a solution, and we could, so you're going to withhold, the employer pay, withholds. So you need withholding for your employee. So we're going to increase the box 1, that's the income, and we can also increase the box 2, which is withholding. So we'd essentially, and then send in the money. So we'd be essentially paying their withholding piece out of all of this, because your withholding that you did for them was wrong.
What about employees that aren't currently employed?
I'm sorry.
What about previous employees who aren't currently employed by the township?
Well, we have to fix them all.
Let me try to make this a little bit clearer. You increase the income, you increase the withholding. The IRS puts that in their system.
Right.
And it spits it out and says, you're fine. Because the increase in income was covered by the increase in the withholding that you paid. So you don't have to get the employee involved. You got to notify them and say, we messed up, here's 3 years, but we also increased your withholding and paid that. Yep. So you should be made whole. You will get notification from the IRS that you may be underpaid or overpaid by a few dollars if we get the thing. But and that's it.
That's right. So, and then you make the payment.
So effectively, we are paying the tax.
You're paying the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to pay the whole thing, right? You
have to? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're obligated to, as the employer, to withhold.
Well, you don't have to pay, I think, but her point is you're obligated to pay the Social Security tax that they should have paid.
Right. And the employer part, right.
And the employer part, because once you missed it up, you own it.
If you, like if you are just a regular business and you have 1099 employees and they should be determined to be W-2 people, you get penalties and you got to pay both sides. The employer does.
I get that.
For messing it up.
Right.
So if you are going to pay you're expecting to pay, you don't want to give them all raises and now you got more Social Security, more whatever. The simple solution is to do what Ed just said, is increase their withholding, and then the IRS gets an increase in salary, but they also get an increase in withholding, and you pay it, and they do this matching thing. So they'll look at the return, the W-2 came in, your information came in, and then they'll put it into the return and see if they owe anything or if they get a refund or something like that. They have a matching thing. They would, potentially get a letter, that says, hey, you might owe us, another $10, or you're gonna get another $10 back or something like that. And we have to calculate what the withholding would be. It's easy with Illinois because it's all 4.99, but it's with federal government, everybody's on a different tiered rate.
Under the ratio of feds, it goes from 12% to 32%.
Yeah.
Okay. So the exposure of the township, if everybody was at the 32%, it would be 33,000. If everybody's at the 12%, it's 12,000. It's someplace in there.
And was that all years or just the last 3?
Last 3.
Just the last 3. Okay.
So I mean, it should have been paid a long time ago. Now, then the next thing that's going to happen is you'll get a letter, and it'll say penalties and interest. Because you should have paid it a long time ago now, right? So they do have an option for you to ask for forgiveness. You can say, abate my penalties. You send a nice little letter. And if you haven't made any mistakes in the last 3 years, then, they can abate penalties. I don't know how much they would abate, but they never give up on the interest. But they do abate penalties.
So the penalties and the interest are all the township's responsibility? That's your assertion, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the employee, you've taken it off the employee because now you don't want to be paying all that another way. So you can just take care of it yourself.
Okay.
By filing and doing the withholding, increasing the withholding.
Is there any concern of increasing the elected official income?
No, we're not going to increase the income. We're going to make the income correct of what it was.
Oh, okay.
We're
Okay,
only going to adjust the withholding. Yeah.
got it.
We're going to correct it to what it always should have been. Yes. And then we're increasing and holding. So if it was done correctly, that's probably what it would have been anyway.
Okay.
You probably would have withheld more and sent it in.
But we're paying
But-
withholding, so you are, that's a
Yeah.
very good point, and we gotta talk to a lawyer about that, because by the township paying the additional withholding that should have been withheld, that's actually income, because she's not paid. I think, it's an issue that needs to be discussed.
That's the issue I was trying to raise based on the letter back from the tax attorney too.
Yeah, that, but I suppose we could just make the elected officials write a check back. There's
But you
only two.
can't say that I'm making more than, legally.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
You're correct on that.
Yeah, I we'll have to get a legal opinion.
And I'm the one least affected by this.
Yeah, no, I-
Yeah.
Was it worth having yourself talk to the tax attorney who did this
I'd
work?
be happy to do that.
Just
I'd be happy to do that. So, yeah, so it's just kind of like there's like niches,
all right, what's the concern?
I don't mind her talking to a tax attorney. I mind her talking to the existing tax attorney because she costs him too.
Yeah, I know, it's just she's so up to speed, she's so
Well,
up to
I
speed.
think this accountant here was more up to speed than the attorney. So,
that's because they asked the wrong, they're probably really good at what they do, but they do income tax. They don't do payroll tax. So, yeah,
So we asked the wrong question.
well, I mean, the wrong people. You need to ask somebody like me, because and a lot of people like me would know the answer. Yeah, so it's not like it's secret or hard. I'm not special. I'm just,
Well, you got the
I'm
experience
just,
in this area.
yeah, I just know the answer because it's my bucket.
I was gonna say, we have somebody else that we can ask in our firm who specializes in taxes. Liz Shine is really good, so we can ask her specifically about the election officials portion, because that's a little different than we're talking about employees. Just because of
Yeah, so-
compensation.
For the benefit of everyone, we did have a meeting earlier in the week where there were some action items included, looking at potentially tax advice from another firm, potentially your firm.
Okay.
So, I mean, there is, if you decide to give people the extra money for the withholding and you were going to do that, you wouldn't do it retrospective. You'd probably just put that extra money in this calendar year. Because you're giving it to them this calendar year.
So then where would where would that 33,000 potentially come from? Would it come from salaries? Payroll?
No, I mean, it should have been paid a long time ago.
Right, but I guess it would be
I haven't
paid out
looked
of
at
this.
that, I'm not sure. I mean,
I don't really know the number either. I would be, I think Ed is very sharp and
you could,
about 99%,
Well,
I want to check the whole thing.
if it was material, it would be a prior period adjustment and go back.
You want to kind of avoid all of that.
Yeah, that's.
And, yeah.
I'm
And
just
if,
not sure what the,
Okay,
maybe when you do the budget, put a line in penalty.
Yeah,
Or contingency.
Contingencies, could it come out of contingencies?
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
we don't have that much contingency space, just so you know. I mean, we could, but we would have to add in contingencies for that because we just don't have it.
and there's an Illinois piece too.
Yes, sure.
And so, I mean, the first letter that you read to me was that, you guys would make the employee whole because you didn't, it was negligent in not filing, reporting it correctly. And, you have an obligation, your part was the withholding and, they have the social security piece that they're supposed to withhold. So if you do that, we can figure out what the amount is. And, if necessary, you could add it back to the.
This is helping.
It's gotta get fixed though.
It
I know.
And it
It's
needs
just,
to get fixed in a hurry.
yeah,
Because honestly,
We found out about this, what, March?
Oh, yeah, it's
We
very
had
exciting.
professional advice in
Right,
June.
and we're
still
outlaid
talking
probably
about it.
nearly $17,000 already, and we're being told that there's another 6,000 coming down the pipe. Yet we're gonna be billed for this, you know.
Okay, so, I think that, I would like to look at the whole thing, because if there's one mistake, there might be more.
Yeah.
A. B, I think we have to implement Stop the Bleeding. Fix the QuickBooks so that you're gonna file a correct third quarter. We're still gonna need to fix 1 and 2, but you should at least file the correct third quarter. And before October, I think you should get your W-2Cs right.
Okay, so we have our next board meeting, what, on the 13th?
Of October.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Why
wait
do you
till,
have to wait?
if you wait till then,
I don't know.
there's no
Too
Stop the
late.
Bleeding
Right.
option then.
So we have to vote on approving the solution. Sorry, if we accept your solution, well, there's no dollars assigned to it, right?
There's budget. in
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't just talking about her time, I was talking about the impact of the township funds.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, okay, so there's 2 things. There's filing and there's paying. Okay, and so filing, and there's penalties for both. And they're separate and different. So if you file and you don't pay, there's a different penalty, but they always say file
Right,
and pay when you can. As opposed to don't file.
okay, so you're,
So,
the exposure,
there's more exposure if you don't fix.
I get it, I wanted this fixed back in March, so I get it.
Yeah, we thought it was fixed much earlier this year. It was quite a surprise when it came up again this summer.
the exposure just for the back taxes, if you do it, a maximum federal tax rate of 32%, is a little under 50,000.
For 3 years?
It's under what?
50.
$5?
That's both federal and state?
It doesn't include state, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I don't know what state tax would be,
4.99 is flat.
so.
Okay.
95%.
So what we're also hearing is that in order to get to the amending the W-2s, W-3s, in the paperwork that you suggested, that we would need to agree to, essentially, we would have to go through our pre-roll and make sure that everything had been matched and was correct.
Reconcile. Mhm.
Okay, and so is that something that that you could get us an like a proposal for engaging so that we could?
So I had that listed here
Okay.
on my, what to do, and I have that, I have pricing. I have that is, 8 hours. And going through your QuickBooks file and everything else. I think, I think it's done a lot of legwork, and I'm just gonna kind of tie up what he's done, and he's done a really good job. But I still want to look at it, because here's the thing: if there might be other errors,
Right.
okay, so.
Right, if the pointers in the deductions or things like that, which we should have looked at before, it's gonna change the whole nature of the process.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't have access to that. I looked at that, I don't know. I reconciled from gross earnings down to W-2 reporting earnings, both federal, Social Security income, and Medicare. But I have not looked at the other pointers, and I don't know whether they are correct.
Yeah.
So we just, I had gotten this yesterday and read it. It looks really great, but from a timeline of next steps, I'm sure agree that we want to move on this. So how can we legally?
Well, might I suggest I draft just a simple consulting service contract with these prices, if the board is okay with that?
If you just accept that and tell her to go forward.
It's not on the
With the
agenda.
terms of-
yes, it is. It's either on 9 or 10. You could, this is what I was asking you about, and you 3 times and didn't put it on the agenda. But between 9 and 10, there's discussion and possible action on amending, and then discussion and possible action on solutions to resolve the historic township IMRF.
Okay.
So it's all within there that you could do that. You could
Just accept it.
accept the proposal. or-
I'm just making sure that.
And then that's fine, and then is it okay if I still draft the contract just to have like independent contractor language in there?
Do you have a typical engagement letter?
Yeah, I
that
could,
you could send?
I could pull up one, or I could sign what you've got. you know.
Yeah, just something simple. I mean,
I'm fine with that. Okay with that. You know, so this is my preliminary guess.
okay.
You know, so it might be other things that I have to dig into, so this is, you know. There's a caveat that, you know, if there's more hours that, you know, but I think this is my guess, I think
Right, that's
pretty
kind of why
fair.
I want to do just an
Yeah.
agreement, just so that we don't have to come back and let's say you worked more hours than what they accepted, we're not coming back and you having to be approved, it's just based on whatever we put in there.
Well, I think you want the red flag.
Right.
If you're gonna start charging more, right?
Right.
Because that's what
Yes.
kind of happened before.
Yeah.
They may want it approved.
Right.
That's. up to
Right,
you
of course,
guys.
but I'm just saying that in there, we put how much it'll be per hour, so it's just
Yeah.
clear whether she does, or there's a
Understood.
max.
I mean, I think this is a pretty fair estimate, you know, my opinion, and you know, whatever, but if there is something that comes up and it requires more work, I'll let you know. And that would be a red flag.
Do we have to do
But I
anything?
think, you know, you don't want to fall into a negligent
Yeah, we gotta
situation,
deal
and
with
you're
this.
really kind of stepping into that right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And there's a whole different problem.
And I'd like to be appointed point person in this budget to work with her. so
I would love
we
that.
can-
And could I ask, how does our existing like accountant like Linda Nader and Lisa Rose, how does that interfere or, you know, play into this at all? Like how you're separate?
Right, it shouldn't impact that at all. What she would be doing is looking at just the payroll issues, won't change anything, except when she gets all of the work done, she'll have a list of stuff on the W-2s and what have you. It'll be changing that.
And you'll be taking care of all of that. It's not going to take
And I'll
any,
tell Linda what we do.
okay, it's not gonna take
I'll
staff.
tell Linda and keep both of her and Diane.
It is,
The board
Sure.
Thank you.
it is a good idea to be connected with the accounting staff, you know, and make sure, you know. And a lot of accounting staffs welcome having, you know, a CPA that knows some things that they don't know, you know, help them out. You know, I run actually the meeting next one that I'm gonna go to, doesn't have all that information. So she's happy to call me and say, hey, what do I do in this situation? And then, you know, I help her out. And so usually there has to be another resource a lot of times for, you know, accounting people. Because obviously this happened, so because somebody didn't know.
Is our engagement letter with your firm open enough that we don't have to, if you bring another resource in, we don't have to approve it as part of this discussion?
No, you don't, but yeah.
Fine.
I would just say for the next meeting, to be honest, the way I usually do this with all the townships, for all consultants, I'm not arguing prices, that's up to the board. I usually have them pass a resolution saying they approve this independent contractor for whatever, and then just have the agreement in the back. Obviously you guys still approve the final check, of course, but just so we have it on the books and we have it. I have the independent contractor language in there, then the indemnification language in there, if the board is okay with that. And then you guys would just pass it at the next meeting.
Should you start work before the next meeting?
Yeah.
Definitely.
You have to.
Yes.
The stop is bleeding.
I just want the lawyer to address that. I mean, I understand that, but somehow you gotta give her the authority to start work.
So we're about to make a motion to approve the subcontracting of
Janice Pecos.
Janice.
We do that?
You're putting this under section 10, is that what you're saying? Or is this later
We're
back in?
discussing under number
Whichever
10
one
right
you
now,
want.
yeah.
It looked like 9 was the general one.
It looks like it's 8, 9, and 10.
Yes,
Right.
we were trying to get the right language so that we could do exactly what everybody wanted. So that was the goal part. Oh, that's.
My problem is I don't think that this language is as clear as saying like I'm to hire, you know, to give the people on notice, but it's truly up to the board. If that's what you really want to do, I would advise against it. Just wait until next meeting, just so it's clear on the agenda what you're doing within.
So you're not gonna start the
Resolution.
work until the next meeting.
No, I will draft. Oh, you're saying her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we did a special meeting in 2 days?
I'm taking such offense to this, because I asked the supervisor no less than 3 times to put discussion or action for this, and each time it was either dismissed or said, no, this is the exact wording we want. So, you know, and then you look at these and it could fit into those. I understand it's not the exact wording and we don't have the true typical backup, but we do have the backup of the scope of what, you know, accountant, Pius, I'm in the script. I call McGovern too, so. But we do have the scope of her work, so in essence, it is a purchase order, engagement letter in a certain amount, in a certain way. So we know our scope of liability with her is $5,200. You've got, you know, this has been going on forever, and it's IMRF issues. It's all three of these. You know, my suggestion is, you know, it is affecting all of us, and the cost is just going to go up because if I have to file once and then file another time because then that needs to be amended, it's going to be cost to everybody. And I agree with the stop the bleeding. Let's get it right. They told us August 1st and we just ran through that and didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you're negligent.
Right, that's exactly, yeah.
And you can't put yourself in that position.
Right.
It's a liability.
To be honest, it's a liability either way, because now it's not on the agenda the correct way. We're not voting, and I'm not saying, and I don't know what the conversations were. So I'm just letting you know from my expertise what it should be. I am more than willing to do the resolution and the contract as soon as you guys need it to be. And if you wanted to do a special meeting in a couple days, that's completely fine. I have no problem with that.
Do we need a
that's-
resolution? I mean, if they're approving something, they're approving something.
Approve authorizing Janice Packard CPA to commence work and past current and past withholding of subject to a dollar limit of what you got.
Yeah, I think that was
$5,200.
Can it be as simple as that?
Yes, that's fine. And then I can draft something.
Yeah.
And if I start looking and there's something else.
Yeah, you'll screw
red
that.
flag situation.
I don't think you can read this. I don't think you can read this chicken script.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank
I
you.
will make a motion. Okay, yeah, no, I can't.
I told you. Here. Approve authorizing
To approve authorizing
Janice Pappas,
Janice Pappas,
CPA,
CPA,
to commence work
to commence work
on past and present
on past and present
withholding problem
withholding problems.
with a cap, with a dollar limit of,
5,200.
thank you.
Thank you,
Your
trustee
writing is worse than mine.
Page and Harry. Commissioner Young, is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you.
Oh, can we
trustee.
amend that too? Point person on that, so.
Yes, I will then to.
And I will, but you'll get me all the, because I need all the 941, so, but yeah.
You can
And,
send me a list of it.
I
think.
will.
Okay.
and the board to be,
Oh, yeah.
not the whole board, then at least, trustee Robinson.
I'll copy the whole board,
Thank you.
Diane, I'll copy everybody.
Thank you.
She's affected by it. He's the driver.
Okay.
Okay, and all in favor, or roll call vote, sorry, trustee.
Well, Trustee Robinson to second.
I did second, sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah.
okay.
So that was seconded and a roll call vote for Colwood.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Janice.
You're
Thanks, James.
Thank you. Look forward to working more and getting this resolved as soon as possible. Okay, then, back to agenda number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve budget and appropriation ordinance number 2023-006, the amended 2023-24 budget and appropriation ordinance as discussed and approved in the previous public meeting.
And I will second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson and trustee Page. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, Clerk Pollitt.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, it is passed. Discussion and possible action on the IDES issue. I'm just bringing this to your attention. We have been behind on paying this. It's been brought to the finance department's attention as well. They have said that they haven't heard back. It needs to be resolved. They're saying that again, they need to have their payment and we're 4 quarters behind. So I've put this in the finance department's box several times, so we just need to get this done.
Untrue.
Oh,
This has been an ongoing issue since there was an accountant before Linda that processed our IDES payments via paper. So it has been an ongoing problem that Linda has been working with and has been abreast of the situation. So Supervisor Hewitt just wants to get it paid because she happened to be at the front desk when she received the mail. This has been coming and been going to Linda for the past 8 months. So I'm just letting you know that.
And it is still not resolved for
Right.
the past 8 months.
sorry, and thank you, sorry to interrupt. What's the scope of the issue? Is it just that one IDS payment last year, or has it not been paid through the current date today?
There's a whole lot of conversations that need to happen.
Well, which is it? It's
I
one or
think
the
it's,
other.
I think it's both, but we need to understand that, and I don't get any information. So, I just want you all to know that, and that's another financial issue that we need to make sure, again, with our bills getting paid, gets paid. Okay. Next is LIHEAP, and we start LIHEAP on October 2nd. So this is a normal compensation agreement between DuPage County and us. We get paid $35 for every appointment that we have, and so in order to start getting that compensation, we need to sign this, and this is sent to all the townships that do LIHEAP.
Is this the same as we signed previous years?
Yes, very similar. There didn't seem to be much language difference at all. The dates are different, and the timing of when everybody is being covered are different, and the finances are different. So there's a variety of other differences, but from a cost perspective, last year was the first year we started getting paid for doing LIHEAPs.
Really?
Yes.
What happens if we push this to the regular meeting?
We don't get paid for doing LIHEAPs for the first few weeks. So it would be helpful to do this now. And this is thoroughly boilerplate language. Nothing was added.
So our township gets paid $35 for every application we submit, correct? That's what this says.
That's approved.
That's approved by them. Okay. And then it also says that there's $167,500 that then the county allocates or gives to recipients of LIHEAP across the entire county, correct? And that's completely out of once we file the application and the county makes an assessment, everything's handled by them, including payments directly to the recipients, correct? Okay, so this is just saying that we agree that we're going to do this work and that they're going to pay us $35 for doing this work.
And what happens is they run out of money every year. So it's basically in everybody's best interest to get people in sooner, faster, so that they can have the help that they need.
So if we don't approve this, we can't put applications in for our township residents. Is that correct?
They didn't say that.
Okay.
As per se, but we have 3 people that are scheduled to go get trained by them, and they asked us to do this as soon as possible.
When does LIHEAP open?
October 2nd, next week.
And what staff is being sent to train?
Michelle Spadavecchia and Terry,
Carabella.
Terry and Joanna. It's managed by Michelle.
It's better back. Yeah. Okay.
All right, does this need a motion to approve?
Yes.
You can just give it a motion to approve under agreement between.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the vendor agreement between the County of DuPage and Lisle Township for the administration of the low income home energy assistance program, otherwise known as LIHEAP.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Robinson and Trustee Page. Any discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. I think 8, 9, and 10 have been mostly covered. Even 11. Does anybody have any other comments on 8, accountant presentation
No.
9, 10?
No.
Or 11?
No.
No.
Okay, then we have finished 9, 10, and 11. Discussion and action regarding payment for 2121 Ogden.
We just need a check cut, yeah?
Yeah.
Do we know what do we have an amount?
We've not, there, the attorney said that they're going to have the estoppel letters probably presented at the closing, so they have it. They're gonna have to true up the situation as to what our cams are. I think that they're gonna be doing, they were checking to see if the cam charges as a credit would have an impact on their gains. They were gonna, I've not heard anything further on that, but the number, they don't want to give us, they give us estimates of numbers now. They're only gonna be estimates. The true ups actually gonna happen right before the closing.
Okay.
And who is going to close in to represent the township? Do you know?
I believe the group the law firm that we hired.
Thank you.
Are you gonna?
That was kind of my question. Anybody from the township, like you, for instance.
If you'd like me to be.
I think very, trustee Robinson, I just feel like somebody from the
I
township.
think so. I agree completely.
Should be great.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
So can we make a motion to approve a future payment for an undetermined amount of money?
Well, how about
No. Yeah,
up to a
yeah,
certain
that's a
amount?
good, that's what I was,
Sorry, what was your point?
Up to a certain amount?
So we can do it that way
yeah, you can, as long as you said,
for living?
correct.
Do we have a sense of what the upper limit might be?
I would, my thought would be, it's submitting 50, and then there gonna be some credits. I would say, just to be conservative or just to be careful, is 1.9.
Okay.
And then anything unused goes back into.
Well, it's just, yeah, the budget will cover it, so.
Thank you.
So that way, if we close before the next meeting, then it would be okay to write a check. Right?
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
so. Would you like to make a motion to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve a payment for the purchase of 21 Ogden Avenue with an upper limit of $1.9 million.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson and trustee Page. Any discussion? And all in favor? Or
Aye.
sorry, roll call vote, sorry.
Yeah. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. And there's.
I'm
trustee-
here and I can vote, so yes.
Sorry,
I am.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, then. That is number 12. Is there anything in executive session that needs to be done? Okay, great, then,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
thank you, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
And
do want to point out one thing if I could. When we pick up leaves, we use the old machine, I think.
we just adjourned, but.
I know, but I'm just,
Okay.
information, okay?